with our, we've got Megan coming in. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Here, everybody comes in.
I love it.
Welcome to Appy Hour. We're really excited to have you guys join us today. We are really excited to kick off today's webinar where we're going to be highlighting Kintsugi. So there's been some big players in the sales tax space, and we're really excited to dig into one of the newer players and an AI powered player. So I'm really excited to dig into this. So we've got a few people joining us here live in the webinar. We have some more people joining us out on Facebook land. So really excited for all of those to join. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get our slideshow up. Oops, let me go back to my beginning, and then we'll get started. I'm going to make some introductions. So, oops. That go to, oh my goodness, it's sharing the wrong screen. Hold on one second. I don't know why it's sharing that wrong. It's not allowing me to select my screen. Oh, here we go. All right. And perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and start with this. So cool. So today we're going to be talking about Sales Tax Simplified, and we're going to be talking about how AI is changing compliance and sales tax. I'm really excited to welcome Poojan Bhatnagar at Kintsugi and Ryan Lee from Kintsugi, who's going to be leading us through a tour of the Kintsugi platform. So real quick, just to get us started, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Heather Satterley. I'm the Director of Education and Media over at Woodard. I'm also a CPA, and I've been in practice for over 30 years. Really excited to be with all of you today. Liz is going to be coming in hot. She had an appointment that she could not miss with her daughter, and so she will be joining us very shortly, and we're really excited to have her. And we all know our wonderful friend Liz. So I just want to take a moment. Poojan, welcome. You're the co-founder and CEO of Kintsugi. Could you tell us a little bit of why did you found Kintsugi, and what were you looking to accomplish?
Yeah, so I think I have had a very interesting history with sales tax and just taxation and accounting and CPAs in general. So just to give you some context, I grew up all my life talking about all different sorts of like taxations. So much so was actually like influenced by the fact that both my grandfather, who was born in 1928, and my father, who was born in 1958, they essentially worked as chartered accountants or CPAs, as we like to call them in the US, and were heavily involved with all the taxation rules and everything that was happening post like independent India. And then my father played a very interesting role where he was one of the early employees at Avalara, starting like 2004, 2005, where he's played various different sort of roles to essentially like from consulting them when it came to like home rule jurisdiction and all the changes that were happening in 2006, 2007. Um, and also just stuck around with Avalar for 16 years. And so me being part of these dinner conversations, I learned what the different players in the space, how they were doing things and approaching this problem of indirect taxation in their own little ways, you know? And some of them really emphasize the comprehensiveness of their sales tax engine. Some of them basically went on a mini acquisition spree to corner the international market. And the thesis that my dad had, which really came to its head in 2018, was he was like, Poojan, this case is happening between South Dakota and Wayfair,
Mhm.
and we do not know whether South Dakota would win or not. But if South Dakota wins the Supreme Court case, it's just going to be crazy because the incumbents are not ready for what is about to happen. And the market, especially around SMB, as well as the tools that were built for experts, for the chartered accountants, for the CPAs, for the CAS firms, are not going to be able to service the demand that is going to come up.
Right.
So, as a result, what I decided was, hey, I have built my entire career from being born in New Delhi, India, to moving to the US, being at the right place at the right time and studying computer science and statistics and machine learning, um, first at Georgia Tech, then at Stanford, and then at MIT and Harvard, to basically apply all the advances in AI to say, how about we tackle this problem from a data perspective?
Hmm.
And the company is called Kintsugi because kintsugi is a Japanese term which means joining broken pieces together with gold, right? And my hypothesis, and so far it has been proven correct, has been sales tax is not just a consulting problem, but innately to solve it, you need 360 view of revenue and 360 view of HR.
We couldn't agree with you more.
Hey Liz, how are you doing
Hey,
today?
I'm great. I have been so excited for this episode. So I apologize for the slow start. Man, I was booking it here. But Heather
We're lucky
loves
to
the
get.
name of Kintsugi because, exactly what you just shared is that there's so many broken pieces. And for years, we have struggled with sales tax that we needed. We needed a
Yeah.
golden fix. We needed
We
Yeah.
somebody
definitely
to come
needed a
in
golden
and give
fix.
us, a new standard, a
Yeah, for
better
sure.
way.
And I think like while all the other companies and like look, I'm never gonna knock on any company that is, trying to fix a problem. But the approach that Kintsugi is taking is a very data first approach. And I think hopefully in this next hour that we have together, you'll be able to sort of see how our choices that me and my co-founder Jeff have made over the years to basically provide more value to the end customer and essentially tackle this from a purely, let's say if you have 360 view of revenue and 360 view of HR, how can in 7 clicks and 3 minutes setup time, we can enable you to tell you as a business owner or as an expert, where do you owe sales tax? How much sales tax do you owe? And provide all of this information without a credit card on file. That is the value we want to deliver to the end customer.
I think that we have needed a better way for our clients, and you know how it works. I just need it to work.
Yeah.
It's like I want it to be smart. I want it to be able to do the heavy calculating and the lifting because where does my client have nexus? They need to know. I need to be able to communicate it to them. So being able to offer sales tax as a service to our clients, that's something that many of us are facing. We've been facing for years, and it hasn't been something
Yeah.
easy. So anytime I have a client that I smell, okay, we got sales tax, the price is going to go up because it's way more complicated.
It is, and I mean, I think it is way more complicated, and one of the things that has really held back a lot of practitioners is the time it takes to set it up,
Yeah.
right? And to really
Okay.
understand where you have nexus, what types of products and services are taxable in what states, counties, cities, and even streets. I mean, that's really complicated stuff. And so, Liz and I had the opportunity to take a look at it a couple of weeks ago, and we were really excited because it was that setup piece of connecting your data and getting that visibility immediately was staggering. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, for sure. So let me just like maybe take a step back and get everyone on the same page, right? Because like I'm a sales tax nerd, I'm a data nerd. I can talk about this like 24/7, so much so that my like colleague here, Ryan, is gonna be like, Poojan, stop talking. Um, but like in my opinion, sales tax compliance is a 3D problem, right? Just within the US, there's 13,000 plus like US jurisdictions alone with different sales tax rules. There are 4,000 plus different product types with different tax treatment, right?
Yep.
And really now, if I were to zoom out a bit, there are 170 countries for global sellers to navigate, right? Now, like I'm not implying that every country, every client operates in all 170 countries, but every client exists somewhere in this matrix and it
Yep.
constantly changes. And so, like, really understanding why we are having this conversation today is the fact that, like, there are three main pillars that for anyone who is dealing with state and local taxes must get right post Wayfair. Number one is figuring out when and where to register, aka, where should I get started? And that is what like us experts like to call exposure analysis. But like until that exposure is identified and like some thresholds, whether that's in dollar amount or number of transactions are met, you don't, as a remote seller, you don't have to get registered.
I think that what you're talking about right there is the thing that most business owners are clueless about. So, as their accounting provider, that's one of those things that they expect us to know,
Yeah.
and way too difficult, especially since, I've got clients that are in multiple different states. I know Oklahoma pretty well.
Well,
I wouldn't even say I'm an expert in Oklahoma, but I live here and I do know the complexities. But whenever I start having clients that are in multiple states, that's very hard to track with Nexus, but that's the reality of the way that our clients are. They're in multiple states, they're serving, multiple locations, especially if they're e-commerce. Sales tax wasn't originally designed to serve e-commerce. And so a lot of the solutions out there, the difficulty that I have with them is it's like, okay, well, these e-commerce clients were added on later to be able to solve for them. And so you've got to think about the problem differently. It's like you have to start at the beginning. Where's your client selling? And then anytime that there's a sell in that location, we need to know that now they have Nexus in that, and we need to start having the conversation.
1,000%. And I think like that you hit that thing right on the head because like Liz Scott became an expert in Oklahoma because she had to. Now all the rules are constantly changing, and now you will have your own version of perhaps like pivot tables and data and spreadsheets that you might have to build to like just come to the understanding of, do I need to get my client registered or
Yeah.
not? Right? And that is not a heavy lifting that you should be doing. You're maintaining relationships, you're helping clients not only navigate sales tax, but you're helping them with their franchise tax, for setting up maybe their entities, for giving them guidance on how to run their company properly.
Yeah.
So this is, think of Kintsugi as one of the many tools that you have in your Swiss Army knife, but Kintsugi is automating that like state and local taxes piece and really putting that sales tax on autopilot. So the other two pillars that come after registration is collection. Okay, I'm now registered. I give my FEIN to a black box. I got back a sales tax ID number. Now, I need something that integrates with my billing solution, my ERP, my website, whether that's custom checkout or I'm selling on SAP, NetSuite, QuickBooks, Oracle, like Stripe, ChargeBee, where have you?
They're all over the place.
Exactly.
There is
Eh,
no standard. Whenever I talk to a client, it's not like, oh, we're doing the same thing as that other company. It's like, no, we're doing something
no,
completely different.
yeah, and then you have to essentially like go ahead and say, okay, now, with the sales tax ID number, I need to collect the right amount of sales tax
Yeah.
based on the ship to address. or the bill to address in some cases of where my end customer is buying the product. And by the way, that number changes from product to product, address to address, right?
Yep.
And now, Liz, that is something that like Kintsugi puts on autopilot. But then the third step comes in. Now you have collected the money and it's laying in your bank account. But as responsible people who are running companies, we can't touch that money with a 10-foot pole. At the end of the month, we need
You
to
said
commit and
responsible
file that
people.
piece. I know, right? I like to assume people are responsible. I see some wacky stuff that happens in people's like QuickBooks and
They're
like
busy. They intend to be responsible. They're just
it,
busy.
I don't think I think 99% of the people are not nefarious,
I
but
agree.
there is no rule book when it comes to running a business, right? At first, like sales tax is often one of those things that is like you kick the can down the road because you're trying to figure out how do I sell and make more money for the business.
Yep.
But when you start selling, then you get all these compliance things. And when sales tax really comes and bites you in the butt when you're either looking to fundraise or you're going through an audit or you're looking to exit your company, and that's where at the 11th hour a lawyer sends you a letter. Hey, what are the different jurisdictions in which your clients are
We just want to avoid
funding
that.
you?
We don't want the
We do
letters.
want to avoid that. Yeah.
We don't
We
want the
do.
audits. We want to stay away from that. So,
Yeah.
Pooja,
That's
I'm
right.
going to stop you for a second 'cause I'm thinking, Heather, don't we have a drink here too?
We totally have a drink, and I'm sitting here watching my drink get a little bit leafy. Yeah, I mean it. So this is the Kintsugi sour, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna take a sip. It's got sugar on the rim. I don't have gold sugar. I didn't get gold sugar, and I was sad that I didn't get gold sugar.
Wow, that's
Mm.
beautiful.
Oh, it's really, really good. So
Hmm. Well,
great
everybody knows I'm a
choice.
whiskey fan.
I,
So,
I I know it has like whiskey, yuzu juice, simple syrup,
Mm.
some bitters, a wheel of
mhm.
lemon because we are bougie like that for
You're
garnish,
bougie.
right?
Well, and
I'm
Huh?
I
not
love
gonna.
the tie-in with the goal. So that, I mean, that comes back to the name. So Kintsugi being able to put things back together, but doing it in a way that has more substance and stability. So gold standard. Love that.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. No, it's
And
it's
Exactly.
a
Heather,
good one. I'm not
you,
gonna lie, the only whiskey I had in my house was blackberry whiskey. Um,
oh,
but it's very, very good.
I
It
bet.
was so kind of easy. So I think my son left it here. And yes, he is over 21. All right.
That's a good mistake. Well, some of these slides
Right.
we may have already talked through some of these because I know everybody's going to be like chomping at the bit for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
demo.
So, I mean, what we could do is just jump into the demo and then come back to the slides if that's what we'd like to do. And what I mean, we did talk about the compliance. I think we've gone over most of this. Um,
Yeah,
and
perhaps Heather, I want to cover just like two more things about
sure.
why from an expert's perspective, why is every jurisdiction now suddenly worried about sales tax? And like I like to joke about why should the experts care and why should the businesses care? And then my colleague and I,
We don't want the auditors coming.
Yeah.
exactly.
We know what the audit the
But but
penalties are.
but
Yeah, penalties of interest.
yeah, here's
Yes,
a
we want to
question.
be compliant.
Exactly. But
We just want it easy.
here's a question within the question list. Why are the auditors suddenly waking up to sales tax? And I'll tell you, like, there are three things that have happened on a macro level, right? And I always like to like go back to the wise words of Warren Buffett of like focus on the macro things because micro economics and just trends, you just like deal with it. So the sales tax enforcement is intensifying because income tax has a ceiling. Post COVID, high earners realized that we can simply move states when income tax rises, right? States cannot rely on it. We know that like IRS is going through their own thing. And so that's one. Property tax triggers voter backlash. You know, our parents, our grandparents, they might be like sitting in properties which are now pretty much more expensive than they used to be. But that property tax used to be the number one source of local revenue. But raising property tax basically gets the officials voted out, right? And the third thing is like what sometimes people don't like just acknowledge is the fact that sales tax or consumption tax in general is the cost to the remote sellers. It's a tax on the tourists. It's a tax on the online commerce, not just the residents. And very quietly, sales tax has become the number one source of revenue for over 60% of US jurisdictions alone.
I think that's huge, and I think that you're right. That you said it happened silently. And I think
Yeah,
we knew that that was coming, and most of us were watching some of those rulings that were coming out years ago. But it definitely is the nature of the way that business operates now. That they couldn't continue to watch sales tax deteriorate for local businesses and local communities in cities. So they had to come up with a way to get theirs. So it
And
makes it
just
more difficult for us.
just to add to that too, Poojan, one of the really interesting things of recent news anyway is that some states are looking to do away with their state income taxes.
Mhm.
So the shortcoming from income tax, they're looking to sales tax as the primary
Right.
driver. That is the number one that most of the southern states evaluating doing away with income tax are looking at. So I think the sales tax picture is going to evolve significantly over time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And like look, as somebody who is like a business owner, I think like just even fundamentally, the sales tax is one of those few taxes that I can get behind it because it's a tax on consumption, right? If you don't wanna partake, don't, right? There's a choice there, but you're basically like, we need to fund the society, we need to fund our school libraries, we need to fund our roads. And in my very limited and humble opinion, I think it's one of the more different forms of taxes that I can get behind.
I hear you because based on consumption, and we are we are a consumer economy. So and when we want our clients to thrive, so we want them to be doing well. So here we are.
Exactly. So without further ado, I'm gonna present my screen now,
All
and we're
right.
gonna do our live demo
Awesome.
um, publicly in two different parts. So here I am gonna be playing the role of a direct customer who is setting up a Kintsugi account from scratch, and I'll walk you through the details and basically a 30,000 view of like the bells and whistles that a Kintsugi account without a credit card on file, what you can do today while you have your drink in your hand. And then my colleague Ryan, he's going to be the expert who is going to be playing the role of somebody who is running a cash practice as a CPA and who wants to build state and local taxes as an additional source of revenue. And he will walk us through the Kintsugi partnership portal that we have for the experts out there.
Love it.
I do too. I do too. We haven't had a whole lot of acting on Appy Hour. I
No, I
promise
love
we're
the
not.
role playing. Yes. No, this is
Uh-huh.
wonderful.
My
I
mom
think
always told me that I was born for TV, so here I
It,
am, I'm living my best life.
I'm
you
living
are.
my
You
best
are.
life. Are we
Perfect.
all? Hmm.
We are just trying. We are trying. Okay, so today, right now, right this second, without any like talking to any salesperson, without going through any demos, you can go to our website, trykintsugi.com, and get started. And you'll land up on this page where you have just put in your email information and it's saying, hey, we are setting up Kintsugi's account access. And on a very high level, you have to do six things. You have to connect your data source, which is what I was saying, 360 view of revenue and 360 view of HR. So those are the first two things, which is data source for revenue, physical presence for HR. Then you need to provide your organizational details in terms of like, okay, where's the company located? What is the FEIN number? Who is the party responsible for sales tax registrations? We Our AI agents not only help you do the monitoring piece, but it also helps you do the filing and remittance for you. So when I say help, I mean these AI agents actually do it on your behalf. So for that, we need your bank account details as well. so that we can withdraw the funds when the sales tax reports are due. So that's number 4 on the list. We will add different products and services because, as I was mentioning earlier, 13,000 different US jurisdictions, 4,000 different products. And that's just for the US. So imagine this is a 3D spectrum that Kintsugi is helping you navigate. 170 countries on one axis, 4,000 different product categories on the other axis, and the third axis is just where you're selling, right? And like when I say where you're selling, I mean which ERP you're using, which integration you're using. And then finally, the thing that we will not cover today is choosing up a plan, aka putting a credit card on file and doing your registration and filing for you. So first things first, you go in, you end up in this portal, and it says browse integration. These are 40 plus integrations that we currently support today that show, let's pull in your revenue data and your HR data. So very quickly, you can connect your NetSuite, you can connect your Microsoft 365, your Maxio, your Stripe, your ChargeBee, your Xero, your Sage Intacct. We
Your
support some of
Shopify, your
them.
BigCommerce, those are ones that are popping out. Amazon, Walmart,
Exactly.
Yep.
WooCommerce.
Etsy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we pull all of that information, and what we end up doing is we start making a copy of each and every transaction that has been living in your ERP or your billing platform. From that, what we do is we pull out all the products that you're selling. Okay? This is where our AI comes into the picture, because our AI is able to identify, based on the metadata from the integrations that you have collected, hey, what is this business selling? And basically select the category and subcategory. So if you've used older software, they give you an Excel sheet with 6 digits or 7 digits showing the mapping of the NAICS code to their code. Here, the mapping is done by us. And we ask a customer to manually approve at least 7 different partially approved statuses, because that allows our AI agent, and Ryan is going to jump more into this, to actually be able to classify all the new products that are coming in with over 95% accuracy.
Okay, because
And
I
this
think
is
that's
where
where. Go ahead, Heather, because
I was gonna say this is what I was talking about. Like, this is the hardest part, and I think this is where most practitioners get lost, right? Because we don't have that knowledge of the codes.
Yeah.
It's super duper complicated, and what we're used to is either filling out those spreadsheets with these codes and importing them, or trying to map them individually, which is really tough. So I love the fact that you have the AI agents that are able to take some of the validation that we're doing and then do this for us so that we can just eyeball it and accept it. It's huge.
Heather, you're making my week, because I remember building the service 3 years ago with Ryan, and just now it's all coming together. It's such a validation that.
Well, I'm speaking from experience because I've done a lot of these, and it is so hard, and there's always that nagging thing in the back of your head. Am I doing it wrong? Did I miss something? Is this going to slip through the cracks? And so I love that you have this, this engine that kind of does it for you. That just makes it so much easier.
So
Exactly.
something I'll add here real quick too as well is that product taxonomy is not a one-to-one across the board. States consider the details, the modifiers that could apply to a product, the conditions of which the product would be used. They all treat taxability different. And on top of that, sales tax software providers do not have a universal set of taxonomy to work with. So with Kintsugi, our approach of centralizing the information and extracting it out of those source systems, learning as much as we can about the product names, the descriptions, the details, that's how we're applying AI to determine taxonomy using Kintsugi's product taxonomy database.
Very cool.
Exactly. And I think the other piece that I want to highlight is, today, if there is an integration that we don't support in a no-code basis, we have custom API docs that is Ryan's brainchild that he built when he first joined Kintsugi. Plus, we allow you to import data from all these different stores where the stores that don't allow like no code integrations. You drag and drop the file, we will do the heavy lifting. No more pivot tables, no more dealing with, oh, my laptop crashed because there were a million rows in there. You just go ahead and upload it. It's our job to do that heavy lifting and do that mapping so that you get this clean product view where you can classify things. Okay, next up, in the dashboard itself, sorry, I think I got logged out. Let me just go back and refresh.
Well, and
Thank
I
you.
love what Jamie is saying over here in
Yeah,
chat. She's giving some more detail. I
yeah,
gotta tell you, I love Jamie's attitude. When she reached out to Heather and I,
yeah.
one of the things that got my immediate attention is if Jamie's excited about something and she knows sales tax through and through, she's got our attention. So just freaking badass over there.
Thank you, Liz. Back at you. Back at you.
Yeah, no, Jamie is like the Beyonce of sales tax. I
Oh,
can
I
quote
like
her on
I
that.
love it. I
Whoa.
love it.
I love it too. Dang.
that.
Yeah. So no, she's an OG. But so in the dashboard view, once you have mapped the products, we in the background are making copies of each and every transaction. And this is going to matter in a second here. All the softwares that exist in the market today, including some really big ones, they do what is called forward-looking compliance. You install them, you implement them, it takes them months to implement. You are now compliant from starting day now, the present day. Day zero is day to day. What Kintsugi does is both backward compliance as well as forward compliance. So when I said, hey, our system, we're working hard in the background to make copies of each and every transaction, in this view, we can tell how much sales tax did you collect, how much sales tax should you have collected, did you overpay or underpay after you import the registration? And because now we have 360 view of revenue, we can actually, on your behalf, petition to states to get credits if you overpaid, or basically engage in back filings or even VDAs, all of which are done programmatically through the Kintsugi platform, and say, what is the path of least resistance when it comes to sales tax compliance? So this just gives you the view of just the US. We support 110 countries globally currently and over 700 different product categories. But in the monitoring tab, this is where you can dive in and see why are you hitting sales tax exposure.
Which this is the conversation. So we want to be able to easily have I like the heat map. It's like, let me see the heat map and then I can discover and dig in more so that way I can have the client conversation. But here's the backup. Here's why it's happening.
Exactly. And so like the new view that you're seeing now shows that on a period by period level, we are applying all these different rules that are constantly changing to all the transactions that are coming from your billing and your ERP to say which period did you hit that sales tax exposure?
Yep.
And this takes into account physical nexus. It takes into account the economic nexus. It basically takes into account all the information to give you a holistic story of, hey, you have exposure. What kind of exposure? You may have both physical and economic. You may have registered somewhere where you didn't have exposure because you had to for other reasons. You may have had sales tax collection turned on at a place where you don't have registration. Comes back to the point that Heather and I were talking about. Sales tax is so complicated and it's such a non-revenue generating activity that at the time of starting the company, people are just like, I'll take care of this down the road. And then suddenly your company is doing super well, and then you don't have time for compliance. So again,
Yeah.
everything that I've shown right now is without a credit card on file.
Well, and I'll say too, a sales tax audit is painful.
Mhm.
It's
And expensive.
it is expensive because you need to get a sales tax attorney,
Yep.
even a sales tax specialist accountant. So it gets very expensive very quick. here's some of the details. So whenever it comes to your auditors, the more that you can prove your case, the more that you can stand up and you can say, I actually already know the questions that you're going to ask. Here's the information right here. That actually takes the weight off of the auditor because to them, they don't have to dig as much. You're feeding them the backup that they need because they've got somebody that they've got to report to as well.
Oh, 1000%. And like, if you're coming with data, you're coming with confidence, right? And you're like working with them, like, hey, the rules are constantly, or like, excuse me, the rules are constantly changing, but here's the view that I have. Here's my best attempt. And this is why, like, even if you think about it, like things like voluntary disclosure agreements, the pseudo-anonymous agreements exist in the world because even the authorities realize, hey, this is really hard to get right.
So, Pooja, let me ask you again. So, at this point right now, is this still, I haven't put in a credit card and I'm still able to get this information?
Exactly, Liz.
Okay,
And
I just wanted to clarify.
yeah, you can also go ahead and if you want to do backward compliance, free of cost, you can import registrations as well to basically see the contrast in the dashboard where you have exposure versus where you're registered. So the
Hmm.
difference between the pink and the green. And
And
one
then do you
thing,
have a light gray there too?
yeah. And
Yeah.
then I think like for us, we also take into account the sort of not exposed and we keep into account where are you having sales tax exposure that's going to pop up in the next month or two? Because again,
Okay.
360 view of revenue. And Liz and Heather, this is the most interesting part. This sales tax nexus study is not static. It's not a point in time. Every 10 minutes, if you're using our integration, whether through our API or no code, it gets updated free of cost.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
So a lot of folks who are like currently using other providers, they set up a free Kintsugi account because even if they never pay us a dime, they can check for themselves whether or not what they're doing is correct or not,
Whether they're compliant. Yeah.
right? And then I know we are running against the clock, so I'll speed up a little so that I can give more time to Ryan. Um, we can do all the filings because now you have imported your registrations or you have like done registrations through the Kintsugi platform. You can see all the unfiled filings that you have, all the filings that you're filing, and you can download all the transaction by transaction level reports from the platform. The,
So you're bringing up a question that I've got, and I don't want to jump ahead, but at the same time, um, you have an option here. Like you can self-file, or you can, opt for, I don't know what you call that service, but file it for me.
yep. So filing for you, like if a direct customer is using our platform, it's $75 per filing. We actually,
$75 per filing.
yep.
Okay.
And like if people want to file themselves, again, they can download the data and file it themselves. And sometimes I encourage people to file themselves because they try doing the filing in Colorado that has 1,100 different text boxes for jurisdictions. And then they're like, you know what? I'm just going to use Kintsugi. And I'm like, cool beans. That's why the tool was built,
Yeah. Yeah. The
right?
$75, it feels like it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Uh,
Absolutely.
Uh-huh, yeah. And let me ask another question because I think I know the answer to this. I think I've already heard you say this, but so say that I've got Nexus in one the heat map that you're looking at. It's like,
Yes.
okay, I'm soon gonna have Nexus in one of these states. I need
Yeah.
to be thinking about filing and getting registered. Does Kensuke help you with the registration?
1,000% we do. So in the
Okay.
registrations
I
tab, you
thought that I
can,
had heard you say that.
yeah, you can import registrations in the monitoring tab. You can also trigger a registration as well.
Because that's a pain.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pain.
1,000%. And again, that's the reason why we want to make sure that like we put your sales tax on autopilot. So
It's so how much is that filing?
$75 per action. So $75 one-time fee for filing.
I can guarantee you that we're charging our clients more than that. Or
Oh,
yeah.
and Liz, I really want to emphasize You should, because you are having and maintaining that relationship with the client. The way I see Kintsugi is we are laying the train tracks, the compliance rails for indirect taxation globally. You are the expert who is going to build the trains on top of the train track to help your clients who are passengers to go from wherever they are to their destination. That is a very crucial, important job. We just want to help you build. The mission of Kintsugi is to build that Swiss Army knife for state and local taxes.
I think that there used to be some, there used to be in the profession some prestige in, oh, it's so difficult. I can't let my client do it. I'm not even going to explain to my client how we do it. And
Yeah,
now that has changed. And now it's this more, I want to communicate to my client how we're taking care of them. Yes, we're using tools. I don't find that there's any shame in using a tool that's going to do a better job than I'm going to do. But I knew the connection in order to make sure that they were using the right tool.
exactly. And I think like in part of the partnership portal, what Ryan is going to show you is we can actually serve both the use cases. So you have the ability to A, fully customize and white label the platform so that should you decide to invite the client and show them the Nexus, that's great. It looks exactly like your other tools, etc. But it also gives you the ability to essentially like leverage Kintsugi to learn everything about their account and be that expert when it comes to having those quarterly conversations with your clients. And you can choose to not invite them because at the end of the day, they are paying you to be that expert, right? So really quickly, the last thing I'll show you, and there's so much more I could cover, is here's an example. Let's go and double click into this transaction in Texas. We have verified the bill to address. We have verified the ship to address. We are selling software. There was no sales tax collected on this, but they should have collected sales tax on it. And the rationale behind that is SaaS is taxable in Texas. The first 20% isn't, but the rest of the 80% is. So we take all of that into account as well. And we are the only company in the world, as far as I know, which gives the breakdown on a state, city, county level, including special tax, based on roof level validation of addresses. So I promise I'll shut up here. My better half, Ryan, is gonna like cover the partnership portal. But also happy to like field any questions. Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Pujan. Before I share, and we do these things, we do them quite frequently together, whether it's a partner or webinars. I like to speak a little bit of what Kintsugi means to me. The definition we hear all the time, the fractal components of it being mended together with gold. But I actually think it's a little bit more interesting for me because where I sit as a solutions architect, I sit very close to the break, not with machines, but with people. CPAs like you guys trying to explain liability to a client at 9 o'clock at night. They open the mail up on a Friday at 5 or 6 o'clock and they get letters in the mail. You could bet they're probably texting you pictures of it or shooting you an email with it. That conversation, that trust, that's the crack. We're filling it with gold. We're not trying to replace the fractal components or by any means take away that interaction or those that sit closest to the problem, which is the CPAs with the answers to those notices. But that's why we did build Kintsugi's partner experience the way that we did. It's because the beauty in it isn't particularly pretending that the system isn't broken. It's in who is actually showing up to repair it. And that's the passion that our team at Kintsugi are bringing into this partner experience every day. And you would probably be surprised to learn also of how quickly we've really iterated over this thing too. So without further delay, I'm going to go
I
ahead
love that
and
you said
share
that,
this.
Ryan. Like you're not
Yeah.
trying to gloss over that sales tax sucks. You're trying to be the solution that says we need one.
Right. Right.
better way.
Yeah, and that's exactly it too. Because if you think about what happens in those client interactions, it's like as an accountant, you're trying to identify, okay, what is it I'm being contacted about? What is the level of urgency on it, which clients never seem to understand ever when it comes to a letter they get in the mail. And the third is what to actually do and act on it. Software doesn't do that for you, and software never will do that for you. And nor are we trying to make software do that for you. The decisions, the solving of the problem, that's all left to the ones who are closest to it, which is the CPA, it is the accountant, it is the advisor. It's the one who's known the client for 5 years, not the software platform that just ingested their data yesterday and is going to try and tell the business everything about them from that first impression. So that's why we operate very closely with our partners and work with them in really delivering the tools that are meaningful to help facilitate and make those impactful relationships everlasting with those clients. And that's how we kind of look at enabling our partners through this whole experience here. So with Kintsugi's partner experience, right off the bat, you'll see we are in a hypothetical firm, Kintegra Partners. Let's assume that I'm the CPA responsible for the portfolio that Poojan was just describing, which is Kintegra, this one right here. So I'm managing that client. With our partner experience, you get a full 50,000-foot view as soon as you hit this page. It's all of your clients. If you are an account manager, so maybe you're not a partner at the firm, but you are assigned specific portfolios, which I don't believe in this account I have any of at the moment, but the practices have the ability to essentially slice and dice down their clients to account managers. I feel like that's an important call out here because oftentimes when there are firms with multiple managing account managers, they could be managing competing portfolios or competing clients. You wouldn't necessarily care to have all data visible to all account managers. So that was one of the first pieces that we solved for, essentially a role-based system that lets you envision your firm in Kintsugi's portfolio management platform here. So once we have those details, we can drill into even more about the client, which is what Poojan had just shared before. And just to show how simple that is to transition over, we hit view client and we are impersonating their experience, what they would see if they were a direct Kintsugi customer or if they have access to the portal and you review it with them. This is a way to get to it together. No messy invitation flows or needing to add yourself to your client's own account in the software or anything like that. We even give these partner manager features that let you jump to various options. The most simple one is to just go back to the portfolio though. So once we're in the portfolio, a few other areas to call out where you can get the high level details to really capture a pulse overall. You can get to the registrations and start drilling in by either the jurisdictions or even individual client portfolios. So if we look at the one that Poojan was sharing a moment ago in our demo, we could see all of the jurisdictions where that account has existing sales tax registrations from a really quick view without ever having to go into their account and click into 5 or 6 things to get there. It's just a simple drop down up top. The same can also be said regarding filings when you need to capture those quick details of how much in liability went out from a particular client. You could filter by client and you can even drill into the more finer details by the jurisdictions too. So if we look at US here and say we want to look at Colorado, just because Dave mentioned Colorado in the chat before, let's also just tag Georgia and Idaho and we'll see if we've got any. So we do have some Colorado filings that showed for this particular client. And you can even get to the back filings, the filing history, get all the details that you need, particularly about one client or a dozen clients at a time if you needed that level of detail. The one that excites me the most, though, is the Nexus exposure. That is always the beginning conversation piece with any client. And we understood that when we started building out the portfolio management, the partner experience here at Kintsugi. You could see at the top, there are a lot of those sort of pulse details, the kind of day-to-day things you might want to monitor, log in, maybe just do a weekly check or set a reminder to do to really get that high-level idea. The most important thing that, to me anyway, when I'm looking at this set of data is the approaching. So out of all of my clients, how many clients do I have that are approaching Nexus? That's going to give me a really good insight into how many conversations do I need to have with my customers over the next couple of weeks, or how much planning do I need to do to be able to turn on sales tax collection for the various systems that your clients are using, whether it's QuickBooks or a shopping cart like BigCommerce. We also can show the glowing concerns. So if you wanted to filter by exposed, this is what I would call a very poorly managed practice here. However, it is a demo. So you can see all of the exposed results showing for the customers, the states, the jurisdictions that they occurred in, and also what date they had met those thresholds. Because as we all know, the states define their own rules and policies, just like we were talking earlier with products. So approaching those thresholds, monitoring them for a CPA to be referencing a spreadsheet constantly and having to look off of that and then crunch some numbers with the numbers off of their clients' transaction data. Very cumbersome task, but we present it to you in a pretty simplified way in our partner experience. Before I kick it up a notch and take it one step further than this, are there any questions so far about what's been shared?
I don't have questions at the moment. Heather, do you?
No, I mean, I'm still wrapping my head around this. So, I can sign up for my accountant dashboard and connect all of my clients at no fee to me and do an entire assessment of the nexus of all of my clients without
any credit card on charge. And the rationale behind, again, is to provide and make you the expert here. And I think Ryan in a second is also going to cover that power of Kin, our AI agent that's built on top of all this data. But the goal is to give you that high level understanding of, hey, I'm managing 100 clients. This is what their sales tax statuses look like. For my client ABC, they need registration. Client D is registered. Somebody is actually about to hit like registration in Arizona, and I'm gonna not take away any surprises that Ryan is about to show. So Ryan, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. So we had ended up building our own tax AI agent, our own model that essentially is looking at tax-specific data. It is reaching into the brains of half a dozen senior tax researchers here that have meticulously documented everything that Kintsugi has in our modes of information. When we engage with Kin, you get a couple options right off the bat: which clients have overdue filings, summarize my portfolio, show Nexus exposure. But that feels more like a standard bot you'd hit on a website with some predefined options. So let's go ahead and actually prompt it with something. I do have something that is on my clipboard. This is the exact account that Poojan was reviewing before, and that we also went into the registrations and Colorado filings for a moment ago. What we're asking is a very loaded question. What's the risk on this client's portfolio account? What Kin's going to do is it will go and analyze everything about it. It'll look at past due liability, when they actually met Nexus, if they didn't register yet, which transactions push them over the edge. Are they collecting taxes in any states that they shouldn't be because they're not registered there? So Kin is really going to drill into the finer details that don't replace what a CPA or an advisor does. But what it does do is it helps simplify and aggregate and synchronize through whatever's going on in their minds. They're looking for Nexus exposure. Let's analyze Nexus exposure. Product taxability pitfalls that we're missing. Let's go and look at those. So what Kin's doing is it's first evaluating the exposed Nexus risks: EU cross-border sale exposure, Connecticut exposed on July 6, 2025. Here are the details as to why. So all of the information, everything that we folded into the Kintsugi app is delivered through the power of the Kin agent here. It is accessible to one client's portfolio on the partner experience, or we could even do this. Let's kick it up even further and say, across my entire portfolio, which clients carry the most risk? And what are the top 3 steps I should take for them?
And I loved it that you named him Kin.
Yeah, the Kin is a I think it's actually a name that's born from our co-founder. Poojan called me his better half. I actually think of Jeff as the better half here, the brain behind a lot of what Kintsugi's doing behind the scenes. Jeff is actually the one who has his eyes on these queries day in and day out, looking at how well is it working? Is it giving the advisor everything they need to facilitate that experience? So you can see here, we got to drill down into 5 portfolios with top 3 steps to take for each, or those things to evaluate. What this does, and this is why I mentioned earlier, this is so key and this is so important to me. And if you couldn't tell by how impassioned I am about it, it is very real. The CPAs, the advisors, the humans, they are the ones that are closest to their clients and their clients' problems. We are not trying to replace that. I don't think that AI ever should replace that function. What I do think it should do, and I feel that Kintsugi is really at the frontier of this, is we are augmenting their ability to maintain that relationship in ways they could not previously do it because of having to spend 6 hours in a spreadsheet to then have a 20-minute conversation. Let's have a 45-minute conversation with no cap on the end of it about your portfolio and how it's going, all just from details captured by Kin in 30 seconds.
I 100% agree, Ryan. And Heather, do you want to pull up the poll for anybody who
Yep,
wants
I
more
was just
information?
thinking the same thing. Yep.
While you're doing that, Heather, I think that Ryan, many of us have long time felt that we wanted to empower our clients. And so we give them access to these tools in some cases when it makes sense. And other clients, they don't want to know, they just want the information. But I think you're right on the money whenever you said that we need to have the ability to have the more meaningful conversations and not just spending time in spreadsheets. So pull up the access to the information, allow us to have that information bubbled up to the surface so then we can actually make a use of it instead of just trying to make sure that it's correct.
Yes, and I think that has always been the intended purpose of software. If you think about it on a much more macro scale, it is not meant to replace human functions. It is meant to supplement human functions. And I feel that some of those decisions are so difficult to make when you're facing these problems. But from where we sit as a software provider, the ones who are designing the software to be used by the people on the ground, I feel like it's a very clear line where we could tell when something is to be offered as an insight versus to be offered as a recommendation or a you must do this. We don't ever want to box anyone into that sort of experience with Kintsugi software where we end up making the decisions for them. That is absolutely not what we want to do in compliance technology.
I agree. Heather, do you want to do
100%.
the countdown on that?
Yep. Oh, sorry. I just closed it. My
It
bad.
counted down.
I counted down. I was like, let's go.
Let's go. Well, I put over in chat what I think the tagline should be. Maybe it's too many words, but still. I think that this whole idea, you got Heather whenever she looked up Kintsugi when say it again, Kintsugi.
Kintsugi.
When she
Yes.
looked up the meaning of Kintsugi, and then she was like, wait, I love this. That absolutely makes sense. It's just educating everybody that what you're doing is you're fixing the broken system. You're creating a new gold standard. So I will keep drinking gold glitter. I will cheer you on because I think that we do need a different way. So I appreciate you joining us today and I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
And we love our girl Jamie.
We do love our
Thank
girl
you.
Jamie.
There she is.
You guys are all awesome. Thank you.
Well, right back at you. I think what you're doing is awesome. I appreciate you wanting to share what's happening with the Happy Hour community, with the
Yes.
accounting
It's
community.
exciting. It's really
Mhm.
exciting. Yeah, another thing I just wanted to add is that Kintsugi is going to be at Scaling New Heights, which a lot of us will be going to in just a couple of weeks. We'll be there, right? We'll be in the thick of it. So you can visit their booth. It's booth 31, and there's also a power breakfast that they're doing on June 16th. So, and Ryan's going to be leading that session. So, yeah, lots of opportunity.
Ryan and his acting.
He's awesome too.
Yeah, yeah.
And has a brand new baby.
Jamie's making me blush again. It's probably the fifth time today.
This is like modern sales tax compliance, guys. It's like a no-brainer.
We
Right.
needed it.
Yeah, we did.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have, gosh, Liz, I think that I saw somewhere that we're coming up on 200 episodes. So
We should have a
lots
200
of,
party.
yeah, lots of
Excited
stuff
party.
going on over there. And then our upcoming episodes next week, we're going to have Appventory joining us. So we're excited about that. It's actually unlike any app we've had on Appy Hour before. So I'm excited. And then on June 16th, Liz and I are going to do a live at Scaling New Heights. It won't be a regular episode. Just FYI, we're going to be checking in and letting you know what we're seeing on the ground in Orlando. So look for that. And you may also just be, if you're not going to be on the ground, or even if you are, just watch your social media, because you never know when Liz and I are going to turn on the camera and start talking to you. So yeah, so that's what we've got going on, and we've got some other good stuff coming up for us.
Yeah. And I'll be at Bridging the Gap. So
Yeah.
many of you here, I know Dave for sure will be there. So I
Yeah,
can't wait.
I'm heading out to tax retreat this week. So I'm going to be there. And I think there's quite a few people that are on the call that are also going to be joining me there at tax retreat. So it'll be my first time.
I love conference season.
Yes, for
Mhm.
sure. Well,
Well,
Team Kintsugi,
everyone.
thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited. You've built something really incredible, and thank you. And we'll see you in just a couple weeks.
Thanks,
Yes.
guys.
Take care.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Trojan, we see your excitement and it's
Oh.
contagious.
He is.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for
All right,
having us.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.